in a small Nigerian village where the red earth road wound lazily past little mud houses and the air smelled of firewood smoke and fresh palm oil, there lived a girl named Amanda. She was a bright, beautiful child whose laughter carried like a bell through the compounds. Her joy came not just from herself, but from the woman who raised her, her mother, a kind and talented fashion designer. Amanda's mother was the very heartbeat of her life. She spent her days cutting bright Ankara fabrics, sewing them into dresses so fine that even the chief's wives admired her work. Yet, no matter how busy her hands were, she always had time for Amanda. Every morning she would bend down, brush Amanda's cheek and whisper softly, "Arise, my star, the sun is waiting to see your smile." Then she would prepare hot food, sometimes beans with plantain, sometimes steaming jollof rice that filled the house with a festival aroma. In the evenings, after the day's work was done, Amanda's mother would gather her into her arms. She would sing lullabies that floated into Amanda's dreams like soft feathers. "Omomi, Sunre, my child, sleep and shine," she sang, her voice a melody that wrapped Amanda in warmth. And when Amanda drifted into sleep, she dreamt of happiness, of light, and of the world her mother's voice painted. Because of this love, Amanda shone. She was the first in her class, always answering questions, always smiling. Her braids were neatly tied with ribbons her mother had sewn, and her dresses were always crisp, standing out among the other children. Wherever Amanda went, she carried the grace and beauty her mother poured into her. But seasons change. One day, her mother fell ill. At first, it was only a cough, but soon her laughter weakened, her strong hands trembled, and the sparkle in her eyes dimmed. Amanda would sit by her bed, clutching her hand and whispering, "Mama, please get well. Who will sing me stories if you don't?" Her mother, though weak, would stroke her cheek and smile. "I will always be with you, my star. Even when you cannot see me, my love will never leave you." Days stretched into weeks, and though herbs were brewed and prayers were offered, the sickness deepened its grip. Until one quiet night, with Amanda holding her hand, her mother's breath grew faint. She sang one last line of her lullaby, her voice barely above a whisper, "Omomi, Sunre," and then her hand fell still. The house filled with cries. Women wailed, men shook their heads, and Amanda's father sat broken, unable to speak. For Amanda, the world cracked that night. She felt as if light itself had been stolen, leaving her stumbling in endless darkness. From then on, Amanda was never the same. The girl who once ran through the village with laughter became quiet. Her grades slipped. Once the star of her class, now she sat staring blankly at her books, tears blurring the words. Her once neat and pretty clothes grew shabby. Her once tidy hair became rough. She looked lost, as though her mother's death had snatched away not only her joy, but also her identity. Her father noticed. Each day he watched his daughter cry herself to sleep, her body growing thinner. He tried to cook for her, but his rice always burned. He tried to braid her hair, but his hands were clumsy. The house was heavy with sadness. Finally, one evening, he sighed deeply and said to himself, "This girl needs a mother. Alone, I cannot give her what she deserves. I will remarry." And so, after some months, he brought home another woman, Madame Ogechi. She was tall and stern-looking, with sharp eyes that measured everything, and a smile that seemed to disappear the moment no one was watching. She had no children of her own, but she quickly set her mind to controlling the house. At first, Amanda greeted her respectfully, hoping she would be kind. But soon, Ogechi's sweetness vanished. She began to treat Amanda not as a child, but as a servant. She ordered her to fetch heavy buckets of water from the stream, scrub the compound floor until her knees ached, and pound yam until her arms felt like breaking. When Amanda finished one task, Ogechi would find two more. If she cleaned the pots, Ogechi would say the floor was dirty. If she swept the floor,
Ogechi would say the mortar was unwashed. Amanda barely rested. And when it was time to eat, Ogechi always gave her the bent bottom of the pot, or food with no taste. Amanda's father hardly noticed. Whenever he was home, Ogechi pretended to be gentle, serving him with smiles and sweet words. But the moment he left, the mask dropped and her harshness returned. Amanda endured, but each night she wept silently, her body trembling with grief. One such night, when her tears soaked her pillow, something extraordinary happened. A faint glow entered the room, like moonlight sprinkled with stardust. Small voices whispered, soft as wind through palm leaves. Out of the light stepped tiny fairies, their wings shimmering like glass in firelight. "Child of sorrow," they whispered, "we have heard your cries. We know your mother's song. We are here to help." Amanda rubbed her eyes, hardly believing what she saw. But when one fairy touched her hand, warmth flooded her heart. With a wave, the fairy set the room in order. The dirty dishes vanished, the floor gleamed, and before her appeared a plate of steaming jollof with fried fish, its aroma rich and comforting. From that night, the fairies became Amanda's secret friends. Whenever Ogechi heaped chores on her, Amanda only needed to hum the little tune the fairies taught her, and suddenly the broom danced on its own, the water pot felt light, and the laundry folded neatly. Ogechi could not understand how Amanda completed impossible tasks so quickly. Suspicious, she gave Amanda more chores, doubling and tripling them, but Amanda always finished, her face still glowing with quiet strength. What puzzled Ogechi most was Amanda's appearance. She gave her burnt food and scraps, yet Amanda's cheeks were fresh, her eyes bright, her skin smooth like ripe mango. "Why is this girl shining?" Ogechi muttered. "What secret is she hiding?" Amanda said nothing. She only smelled faintly and carried on. But Ogechi had her own troubles. Despite all her prayers and efforts, she could not conceive a child. She fasted, she visited prophets who poured oil on her head. She knelt in churches where people shouted fire, fire. Still, her womb remained empty. In desperation, she journeyed to a distant chief priest. Inside the shrine, cowries were cast upon the floor. The priest studied them, then looked at her sternly. "Woman, the spirits have spoken. You are barren not because of nature, but because of your wickedness. You have made the girl in your home suffer. You have been her storm, when you should have been her shelter. Until you treat her with kindness, you will not bear a child." Ogechi's heart trembled. For the first time, shame pierced her like a knife. She returned home, her mind heavy, and that evening she confessed to her husband. "My husband," she said, her eyes lowered, "I have wronged Amanda. I have treated her cruelly, given her burnt food, endless chores, harsh words. I do not know why I allowed bitterness to live in me, but the priest has told me, until I change, I will never hold my own child." Amanda's father was shocked. He turned to Amanda, who stood quietly nearby. Ogechi knelt before her, tears streaming. "Child, forgive me. I have been your storm. I want to be your shelter. If you give me a chance, I will do right." Amanda's heart, tender as her mother, softened. She whispered, "Mama taught me kindness is strength. I forgive you." From that day, Ogechi's ways changed. She cooked fresh meals for Amanda, bought her new uniforms, brushed her hair gently, and even sewed her fine clothes. Amanda's studies improved once again. Her laughter returned like sunshine after rain. And in time, the miracle happened. Ogechi conceived and gave birth to a beautiful baby girl. Overjoyed, she dressed both Amanda and the baby in matching outfits, sometimes Ankara twins, sometimes bright lace gowns. The two children became inseparable, like sisters born of the same womb.
The house that had once been full of cruelty and sorrow now overflowed with joy. Laughter echoed in the rooms. Food cooked with love filled the air, and Amanda, once broken, now grew strong and radiant again. The fairies, satisfied that peace had been restored, visited less often, but their blessing lingered in the home. And so, Amanda's story became a tale told in the village, that no matter how long the night, morning must surely come, that wickedness cannot keep blessings away, and that when hearts soften, miracles walk through the door.